Don't overcomplicate the process of hiring subcontractors where it will cost you money and ultimately potentially kill your project. These 4 resources will give you bandwidth and execution to hire the right subcontractors, to position yourself to go out and profit from every build and minimize mistakes, subcontractor issues, and maximize the success of your first build. As an owner builder, one of the biggest things you need to worry about is how you get that project completed. And if you go in and you don't know how to hire a subcontractor, it could be detrimental to the success of your build. So knowing how to hire, fire, and retain subcontractors is one of the #1 most important attributes you can have when doing an owner build. One of the biggest things that was a big contributor to our success in early years was the fact that I didn't know anything about construction. So if you know nothing about construction, you're better off than those people that know about construction. You know, you ever heard the term, you can't teach old dogs new tricks? It's because old dogs have bad habits, and those bad habits bring issues for lost income, subcontractor issues. Those people that have no experience, listen up. It's because you have the ability to go in clean with fresh information to retain subcontractors. So contrary to popular beliefs, subcontractors aren't bad. The reputation of the industry of construction gets a bad rap because people don't know how to hire them, retain them, and everybody's looking for a good deal. And I always ask people, this is the question I always ask people. I say, are you looking for a good deal? Or are you looking for the best quality at the best price? Because there's a difference. I mean, you can go in and just get the best price, but if you get the best price, there's typically a reason that that is the best price. It is because it lacks in quality someplace. There's something that's been forgotten in that trade that gives it the benefits of having the best price. So the real question isn't, do you want the best price? The real question is, do you want the best quality at the best price? Because the best quality at the best price is going to cost slightly more, but at the end of the day, what may cost you a margin more will save you on the back end with havoc, headaches, and financially, knowing that your project is done by a professional and getting it to the finish line will ultimately bear you the largest profits. Now, there's a means to the madness on how to hire the best, most qualified subcontractors for your trades. Now, let's do a list here. What attributes do you want to have in a contractor? Now, being that we have been in ownership of a general construction company for over 28 years, and being that we've owned a concrete company in the trade for the same length of time, there has been questions that have been asked to me multitudes of times. First question is, how long have you been in business, right? So number 1, how long in business? 2, where's your location? Number 3, do you have insurance? Are you bonded? Okay. Number 4, do you have referrals? Do you have work that you've done? Completed, happy clients. Okay. 5, bandwidth and timing. Okay. Now, these 5 things are the 5 most important attributes to any business, because what they come back down to is 2 things: dependability, reputability, which equals trust and ethics, right? Are you a reputable company? Can I trust you? And what are your ethics like? Are you going to take from me? Are you going to show back up? Are you going to get my project done? At the end of the day, this right here is built off of these attributes right here. Okay. Now, how do we find that? Is the big question. Like, how do we go there? How do we find this stuff? Well, let's first go in and let's start very generalized, okay? And this is where most people would opt to start, but it's not the place to finish. And that's just off of Google or any type of trade site that you can go in. So if we go in and we're doing an owner build, okay, and we want to retain the best contractors, let's first go to Google, okay? You're looking for concrete contractors, you just Google the best concrete contractors in your market, the best contractors in Columbus, Ohio, Austin, Texas, St. Louis, Missouri, the best contractors in Los Angeles, California, best concrete contractors in Salt Lake City, Utah, best contractors in Tennessee. Whatever city you're in, you Google your contractors. Now, everything on Google is review-based. Look at the reviews. Sometimes, even if they have a bad review, read the review. If they respond to the review and it's within a threshold of reason, a lot of times the reviews, if they have, predominantly you're looking for A+ reviews, right? But if there's a couple bad reviews, like our reviews on our company are hundreds of A+ reviews, and then there's like maybe 1 or 2 B reviews. There's never any C reviews. There's never any D reviews, because no one like goes and goes, ah, they're okay. They don't go in and give you a C, you know, or they don't go in and just give you like a 2-star. They go in and either give you a 5-star or maybe a 4-star. They go, yeah, you know what? They were actually a really good company, but there was this one issue. Right? So then they give you a 4-star instead of a 5-star. But a 2-star and a 3-star really never really ever exist. And so you should have almost no C's, no D's, because then it goes to F. Okay? And F is just somebody that came in, they pissed them off, or like we pissed them off, or they were a piece of shit. Like that really is what it comes down to. And like all of our Fs are, they were very difficult customers that were unreasonable, that we just finally put our foot down and said, no more. You're friggin' done. Write a bad review, F you. You know, we're done with you. And that's where we get. And so you'll have like maybe, like we've been in business for 28 years. So maybe we have like 10 Fs and like hundreds of A+, right? 1 or 2 Bs and no Cs, no Ds. Because it's either a, you did really good, you did good, but there was this one issue, or it was a middle finger to you, like F you. You know? And so that's kind of the way the reviews go, ladies and gentlemen. And so if you get 1 or 2 FUs, read them, because then you're going to know. Like me, I have a very strong personality. So they'll be like, yeah, there was this guy named Jerome, and he was just rude and disrespectful, used profanity with me. Yes, I did. Because finally, I just gave you the middle finger and said, you're unreasonable. I'm going to kick you in the ass. I fire you as a client. Go write my bad review. I don't care about you. And if I have 10 of those over 28 years, but you can't see the other 350, 400, 500 A+ reviews that we did, then we don't want you as a customer. And so when you're looking at Google, look at the reviews and know, okay, well, this is a strong contractor. They've been in business forever. And, you know, because you're looking at, are they a real company? How long have they been in business? Are they insured and bonded? Do they get stuff done? Or it was like we were late to an appointment that we called, and they go, well, if you're going to show up late, you know, we don't want you. They never give us a chance to do the work. So the vast majority of our F reviews are that, where an estimator was late because there's in-field involvement that sometimes they're late, but as long as they call, right? Like as long as they call. So we'll respond back, say, yes, we were late. We always own it. When we are at fault, we own it. So if there's a review that comes in and you're reading the reviews and the owners respond to it, but you know that they're offensive, meaning that they go back in. And I look at it from a perspective as like, how does Jerome run the business, right? Like, is it within a threshold of reason on the way we run our business? And if we were late, and I'd sit back and we'll write a review back and say, they're 100% correct. We were extremely late on their estimate. In fact, we were so late that if I was in their position, I would have written a bad review as well. It's summertime, it's July, we're extremely busy, and to the customer's disadvantage, we were late. We did call, but in spite of us calling to let them know, they felt the contrary, that we were a bad contractor because we were just late in general. So we get it. We own that. You know, we strive to be able to go in and be on time and hold forth the best reputation that we can, so that we can ultimately get to the finish line and help every customer with their project, right? So then someone reads that and they're like, oh, okay, so these guys were late, they did call, but, you know, the customer was still pissed. I mean, what do you do? So you got to look through the lines of some of the bad reviews and make sure that you consider the history of all the good reviews, okay? And now if you see redundancy where like this company showed up but didn't finish a project, or they gave them money and didn't get what they paid for, and there's redundancy in that, don't call them. Look at reviews, okay? So Google is all review-based, okay? We want to look at it from a review-based sector. Great place to start, but very generalized. Number 2, that gives you a little bit stronger bandwidth, is use a company called Angie, which is Angie's List, which was bought out by Home Advisor. And Home Advisor, because Angie had a stronger name, or Angie's List, is a great lead source. These guys do the lead sourcing for you. And then they'll give you 3 to 4 contractors in every trade. Now, here's the benefit to doing something with Angie. Because Google, anybody can open up a business. The problem with Google is you still don't know, are they insured? You know, would somebody refer these guys? And what is their bandwidth and timing, right? And do they even have a real business? How long have they been around? Anybody can show up on Google. All you have to do is put a name, register with Google. Anybody can show up on there. What's good about Angie's List and Home Advisor and these lead providers is, 1, they do a criminal background check. Number 2, they have license requirements. When our license is expired, or when it hasn't expired, but we've renewed it, but didn't provide them with the actual renewed license, they've stopped our leads. And so what I like about them is, as frustrating as it might be for the contractor, when they stop your leads, they're reputable because they're checking that stuff. And that's important because now you know that at the very least, you've covered this bucket, you've covered insurance and reliability. Now you know that they're a real company, right? So Google, great source for resources and finding subs, but you have to do a lot more legwork. Angie's List and Home Advisor, they do a good job of sourcing and vetting your contractors for you. You still have to vet them, but they do a good entry-level vetting for you that you can go in and have some dependability. Again, this is also review-based, okay? Look at the reviews. Number 3, which I like the best, is I like to drive and hire, okay? This is where I get the best contractors. And here's why. I have the bandwidth of control on these contractors. So I pick the location, I find them, I'm able to go in, I'm able to talk to them, I'm able to see their trucks, I'm able to see their workers, I'm able to see their work, and I have bandwidth like this. This is where most people fail, right here. Because most people want to go in, stay in their home, and be remote, and do these two without ever getting to the field and doing this one. The vast majority of this can be handled by doing one day of this. So you might go in and feel like, oh, I can do this, save time, because I could sit at home and do that. But really doing this saves you no time because this is the one that checks the most boxes the quickest. And what I do is I go into reputable subdivisions where there's a lot of work going in. They're all across the United States. If you go into any D.R. Horton subdivision, any Pulte subdivision, if you go into any Centex subdivision, LGI Home subdivision, if you go into Toll Brothers subdivisions, if you go into any of the largest builders subdivisions throughout the nation, every single morning at 7 a.m., I like going between 7 and 10 a.m. Those are the hot times because you know that the vast majority of the contractors, if you show up at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, even 7 o'clock in the morning, those guys are pressing out the largest volume of homes in the city. And here's the thing, is that insurance for D.R. Horton, Pulte, LGI Homes, and all the big builders is extremely expensive. They're spending hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars a year in insurance. And if they don't have contractors that have their own insurance, they pay for it on their behalf, it becomes extremely expensive. So there's checks and balances. And how do I know that? Because we've been a subcontractor doing block walls, foundations, and cement work, driveways and walkways for D.R. Horton, Kaufman and Broad, Opal Jenkins, and some of the biggest builders in the nation. And one of the first requirements, I still remember, there was a gentleman named Kevin and his wife. I can't remember his wife's name, but she would call all the time. She's like, hey, this is so-and-so, Kevin's wife. I wanted to let you know we need your updated certificate of insurance in order to cut your next check. We cannot release your next check until you have your insurance updated and over to us. So one of the big things is, that if D.R. Horton, Pulte, LGI, KB Homes, and all these big builders are using them, there's checks and balances. They will not hire these subcontractors to work on these homes because of the liability and the expense unless they have insurance, okay? So that they already checked this box right here on the insurance box, okay? Now, we know that a lot of these guys, they have vans, trucks, and they have doors on them. Now, their location might be their backyard in their home, but they have an established business and a location, whatever that location is. How long have they been in business? Well, they've been in business long enough to do business with some of the biggest builders. And so that might be 5 years, that might be 2 years, that might be 10 years, it might be 20 years. I know that the same plumbing contractors, the same concrete contractors, the same roofing contractors in the cities that I work in have been doing business for these large builders for in excess of 2 decades. For the same length of time, almost 3 decades, it's some of the same companies. Now, some of them have retired or sold over the course of time because they've gotten old. And those then revolve to the next set of companies that do the exact same thing. Here's the thing, is that when you're looking at this, one item that I didn't hit is price. What is the price and the cost of doing business? This is important, right? And what's great about hitting these guys is that they're doing volume. And these are volume contractors. So they're accustomed to doing stuff for less. They're not going after one custom build and trying to make all their money on one build a month, 2 builds a month. They go in, they're doing hundreds of homes. They're doing dozens of them a month, and through the accumulation of the business model of volume, they may be working on a 10 to 15% margin where the other contractors are working on a 30% margin. Now you're paying their margins. These guys are working on volume. So now you have a better price. You can get to where you need to be on your bottom line, and you get dependable contractors. You have dependability. So you have reputable, dependable, trust, and ethics. Because if they don't, they're not going to be doing business for D.R. Horton Pulte and Lennar Homes and these big guys for very long. They land up screwing these guys one time, you're gone. There's a set of subcontractors in line that would love to take that business from them immediately the second that that company drops the ball. So we know that our bandwidth for dependability and reputability stands higher doing some driving higher. Now, some people might sit back and go, well, I feel uncomfortable. I don't want to go to a D.R. Horton subdivision and start talking to these contractors. What if they kick me out? They're not going to kick you out. Those roads are public roads. Those contractors aren't owned by D.R. Horton Pulte and Lennar Homes. They are free, independent contractors. This is a free enterprise system, guys. We live in the United States of America, where capitalism is real. Monopolies are illegal. And where free enterprise is what we live and breathe for in a capitalistic country like the United States of America. So when you drive into these public streets and these public roads where their workers are parking their trucks on those public streets, you have as much right in those subdivisions as anybody else. And now don't disrupt them. Don't get yourself in a dangerous situation. Don't walk out where there's tractors without a hard hat and without them knowing. Make sure that you keep it professional for your safety and for your well-being, but make sure that you go in and just talk to these guys. The first thing that I do when I talk to these guys is I immediately go in and say, where the boss is, where's the la jefe, where is the boss? And I'll usually joke with them right away to slice the tension with the subcontractors, and I'll just go in and I'll joke with them immediately. And then they laugh and I go in and it's a lot easier for me to be able to build conversation with them. Now, when you drive and hire, these people do number 4 for you. And number 4, ladies and gentlemen, number 4 is going to be referrals. I love referrals. When you find a great framer, great framers know great stucco guys. Great stucco guys know great drywall guys. Great framers and great dirt guys know great electricians, great plumbers, and these guys will refer you to other great contractors that are in your bandwidth to be able to go out and execute. Now, when you get a referral, it comes by good resources, and good contractors are going to refer good people to you. Now, are all of them perfect? No. Don't just take for granted that if they come from a great contractor, they're a great subcontractor. You need to make sure that you vet them the exact same way that you vet your other contractors, so that ultimately you have dependability, reputability, trust, and ethics. You want to make sure that they're not referring you to their cousin that works out of their pickup truck that doesn't have insurance, doesn't have a business, but they're trying to get work for. That can happen as well. But the vast majority of good subcontractors know other good subcontractors that work on similar job sites to what they're doing with the same expectations and requirements that they have. And so those subcontractors ultimately become great subcontractors from the source of referrals. Ladies and gentlemen, if you exercise not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but all 4 of them together simultaneously, you will retain the best quality contractor at the best price. Not just the best price that brings you also the best quality. Ladies and gentlemen, hiring subcontractors and retaining good contractors has been the nightmare for most builders, most homeowners, and most general contractors, iconically across the board nationwide for years. But if you sit down and you understand how to get dependability, reputability, trustworthy, and ethics by going through your bandwidth of what your expectations are and through reputable companies and referrals, it will always increase your bandwidth and increase your success on every single build. For more content just like this, more strategy and hacks to go out and successfully complete your ground-up builds, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to pound that thumbs up button, give us some love, and comment down below. If you're watching this more than once, then hit #repeat. Comment down below. Let us know what's in source for you on our next video and what you need for education, and go out and continue compounding your success. Click and subscribe, pound that thumbs up button, and we'll see you next time on the other side.